I'm Keith Spera from NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. Welcome to Let's Talk. My guest today played guitar on the original recordings of Aaron Neville's Tell It Like It Is, Ernie Cato's Mother-in-Law, Professor Longhair's Big Chief, and many other New Orleans rhythm and blues classics. He's led his own band at every single New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, and at too many weddings and parties to count. Every year on Thanksgiving Eve, he is featured at Tipitina's annual salute to New Orleans music legends, including the 2025 tribute to Art Neville and Eddie Bo. Here to talk about all that and more is Deacon John. Deacon John, welcome to Let's Talk.
It ain't easy in the Big Easy, baby.
It never is. It never is.
It's gonna get worse.
Oh, gosh.
Fix my streets.
Fix your streets, something we all can dream of. So I mentioned in the intro, you've played Too Many Weddings to Count. One of those weddings was mine in 2003. Ooh. And I want you to know that my father, who is a few years older than you, still talks about when you did the medley of Let the Good Times Roll and Feel So Good, the old Shirley and Lee song.
Shirley and Lee.
He still talks about that because he spent that whole song dancing with my wife.
I went to school with Leonard Lee at Southern University.
Did you really?
Yeah.
So you knew him personally.
Yeah.
You knew him personally. Why do you think you've been so popular at both weddings and funerals for so many years?
Well, it all goes back to the name Deacon John. I didn't choose that name. Somebody tagged me with it because it came from a song that Roy Brown did, Good Rockin' Tonight. Deacon Joan, Elder Brown, two of the slickest cats in town. Well, I had a preaching style of singing when I first started playing back in high school. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have a name. And they said, well, what are we gonna call him? Because every band had the band leader, the singer in front, Danny White and the Cavaliers, Tommy Ridgely and the Tunstall, Sugarjoy and the Cane Cutters, and you name it, you know. So they said, what are we gonna call him? And the drummer said, let's call him Deacon Jones. And I said, oh no, don't call him that. People gonna think we have a gospel group. We'll never get no gigs around here. But later on, when I grew older and wiser, I found out it was a God-given name because there's two things I do the most in life. I comfort people in times of sorrow, attested to all the hundreds of funerals that I've sang since I was in elementary school. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is I bring joy to them in their big celebrations in life, your prom, your wedding, your birthday party, your debutante party, your prom, all this stuff, you know. And I say, well, you know, that was a God-given name because those two things I do the most. And I guess I've really been blessed.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, and you've sung at the funerals of so many prominent musicians. Yeah. I mean, Fats Domino, Dave Bartholomew,
right?
Walter Wolfman Washington. Right. You're the guy that is able to kind of sing these folks home, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I do. It's just I'm just doing God's work, and that's why He's letting me stay a little while longer because my work is not done yet. I just sang 2 funerals a week ago.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're as we talk here in the fall of 2025, you're 84 years old, is that right? Nope, I'm sorry, is that a state secret? Let's just say you're around the age of a man I recently saw perform, Paul McCartney. You're in that ballpark. He's still going strong, no reason why you can't still be going strong.
Yeah, I just need Paul McCartney money, then I can go stronger.
Paul McCartney's money, that's it. Let's go all the way back to the beginning of your career. You started playing in high school. You started getting asked to play in these recording sessions that I mentioned in the intro. I mean, you played on so many great records. I mean,
I started singing, as a child, and I sang in the boys' choir in elementary school, and then the glee club in high school. When I started playing gigs, I was in high school.
When you started playing, you were working in high school.
Yeah.
How did you end up on the session for Tell It Like It Is? That's one of the great New Orleans music singles. That's your guitar on it. How did you end up on that session?
The composer and I were best friends. George Davis is the guy that wrote Tell It Like It Is. And he was a guitar player too and played on many recording sessions with me. When they were using 2 guitars, and George Davis' phone was ringing all day long for gigs and recording sessions. And he he played for my wedding too, George Davis, yeah. He was the composer of Tell It Like It Is, him and Lee Diamond. And well, he wanted me to play guitar on it. And he asked me to play guitar on it, and I played guitar on the whole Aaron Neville album. You know, Tell It Like It Is album. The rest of the songs, I was the guitar player and all of that too. And I did a lot of work with recording with Aaron Neville, with Alan Toussaint. The early days on Minute Records when we were doing Waiting at the Station.
Well, and you were on what, a lot of those Benny Spellman records?
Oh my God, Benny Spellman, Irma Thomas, Ernie Cato, Huey Smith. I did a lot of recording sessions, you know, back in those days, you know, in the formative days of early rhythm and blues in New Orleans. And I got into the Clique.
That was it. You were in the Clique, right?
I was in the Clique. It was Red Tyler and Melvin Lasty, John Boudreaux, my cousin, on drums, and Chuck Beatty on bass. And man, we did a whole lot of work for Alan Toussaint, you know.
And laid down, like I said, some of the great singles in the history of New Orleans music. I mean, it's incredible that you were there for all that stuff.
We did all the stuff with Lee Dorsey, too. The early Lee Dorsey.
Working in the coal mines.
Working in the coal mines and all the Chris Kenner stuff. Something You Got, Land of a Thousand Dances. I Like It Like That. During that time, Alan was using 2 guitars.
And you were one of them.
Yeah, I was one of them, and George Davis was the other one.
And then said Big Chief, you know, the Professor Longhair recording. I mean, one of the great Mardi Gras songs of all time. That's your guitar that people hear on that every year at Carnival time.
Yeah, I was just fortunate, you know, to be among the top flight recording guitar players at that time, you know, when Cosmo was in the French Quarter.
Cosmo Matasso, the great recording engineer, right? Yep.
Cosmo had a number 2 tub, and he filled it up with beer for the musicians. And he had like a telephone booth, kind of phone booth type, where the singers would be in there to isolate them from the band tracks. Because he started out with 2 tracks.
2 tracks,
yeah,
right? As opposed to 48 or whatever
for the singers, and then he went up to 4 tracks. Oh, we're on big time now, 4 tracks, man. We can put the background vocals on one, and the lead vocal on another, and you know, do things like that that we couldn't do before. Yeah, but the focus was on the music and not the technology, because the technology was very limited.
That's right. That's right. It was.
All I could hear was Alan Toussaint say, "Guys, turn up the piano, turn them guitars down."
Well, he knew what he was talking about.
Oh yeah, he knew, man. And he knew how to make music, write music, and he was a great composer, because he handpicked those songs for his artists to fit their, you know, image and likeness and their voice. You know, he could hear a singer and know what kind of song to write for them, like The Fortune Teller.
Fortune Teller, great song, right? Which was covered by, I think, the Rolling Stones did it, and all these other people did it.
Oh yeah, I played on that, and I sang for Benny Spellman's funeral.
Name a musician, you probably played their funeral. If you're just tuning in, my guest today is legendary New Orleans musician, Deacon John Moore. So you've played on 1 million records, but you've not put out that many records of your own. I've got one sitting here on the desk, Deacon John's Jump Blues, which was recorded live at the Orpheum Theater a number of years ago. Great record, but you never did make a whole lot of records yourself. Why is that?
No, unfortunately, you know, I was unmarketable.
Unmarketable. Is that because you did too many different styles of music, so they couldn't focus on
maybe
one
that,
thing?
but the big thing was, in order for them to record you and market you, you have to look like the music.
You have to look like the music.
Yeah, well, I wasn't black enough and I wasn't white enough, and so I didn't fit into the established categories for black or white entertainers in New Orleans. So I had to carve my own identity out. I had a few, but not many people. I guess this is my opinion. I think I was unmarketable. That's why a lot of them shied away from me, because they didn't have a box to put me in. Because I played, with some of the great producers and writers and artists, but when it comes down to the record companies, they didn't have a category for me. What is he? Is he jazz? Is he blues? Is he R&B? Is he rock and roll? We don't know what he is. He probably don't know his own self.
Well, the answer is you're all those things. I mean, you played all that stuff.
Yeah, well, I just tell you, like Ernie Cato said, I'm just good, and that's all there is to it.
I'm just good. Well, yeah, because your band, you had Deacon John and the Ivories. I mean, you guys at one point, weren't y'all doing like psychedelic rock, like in the late 60s and early 70s?
I was the Jimi Hendrix of New Orleans.
You were the Jimi Hendrix of New Orleans?
Oh, yeah, I did Cream, I did Vanilla Fudge, I did all of the rock groups, because whenever a wave came on, I jumped on it,
Whenever a musical wave came
on, I jumped on it because I knew that was the way to get the gigs. And when the rock came on the scene, I dressed up like Hendrix. I had the whole image, barefoot, and I had the fringy vest, I had the headbands and the whole image to go along with it. And I had a big B3 organ to do the Santana and Chicago, and all the popular artists at the time, Psy and the Family Stone. I jumped right on the bandwagon, because then I started getting more gigs.
Well, and that's the other thing, is that you never really went on tour throughout your career because you had so much work in New Orleans.
Well, I never went on tour primarily because I didn't have the hit records. Because, you're chosen to go on roads when you go on a tour when you're promoting a hit record. So I didn't have any hits to promote, and I had very few records, So consequently, they're not going to call you to go travel on the road if you didn't have a product to promote. Or if you had a hit record, that's your ticket to ride.
That's your ticket to ride, as Mr. McCartney would say.
Yeah, that's the one that made, that's the one that made Barefoot, and that's the one that did Tell It Like It Is. That's the one that did It's Raining. That's the one that did The Fortune Teller. Let's get him, because they know your ability to draw people is based on the success of your recordings.
Right.
So I didn't have very many to do that,
But yet you were able to work here. And you used to do what? A lot of fraternity parties back in the day?
Fraternity parties, sorority parties, high school proms, weddings, funerals, all kind of miscellaneous casual engagements.
Miscellaneous casual engagements. I didn't realize that was a category. But that's a category.
Yeah, miscellaneous category. Casual engagements. That includes weddings, proms, corporate events, you name it. They're miscellaneous casual engagements. They're usually just one night. And I played for conventions. I did so much, varied kinds of gigs, because I was the man for all seasons. What do you want? I got it.
The man for all seasons.
Yeah.
If you're just tuning in, my guest today is New Orleans music legend, Deacon John Moore. The man for all seasons. You've played with so many prominent people along the lines over the years.
The people I've met through the years, I could write a book,
did you mention Marvin Gaye? You did a gig with Marvin Gaye?
I played with Marvin Gaye, Curtis Mayfield, Little Esther, Chubby Checker, Wilson Pickett, Dionne Warwick, and Johnny Mathis, and usually the Chambers Brothers. I got to know these people because I had a reputation where I could back up anybody. Because I played with Dionne Warwick for Tulane's homecoming dance, and she had a big record of "Spread Your Wings to New Orleans." Boom! Let's get Deacon John on the background. He can do anything.
Let's get Deacon John on the background. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I mean, and that's worked out.
Yeah, I was the backup band, because I had the hottest band in New Orleans, and usually the success formula was you got to get a hot band in New Orleans and a major recording star,
And put them together,
Put
and
them
that
together.
would be the show.
Yeah,
that would be the show.
Because I opened up with James Brown. And a lot of the big stars, and a lot of them before they got to be big stars, because then they could get them cheaper before they got the big hit records.
That's right. That's right. And you've played all the jazz fests. I mean, so
every one since they started in Congo Square. I played for Quint Davis' prom.
Quint Davis, the producer of Jazz Fest, you played his prom.
I played for his prom.
Well, that probably helped you get the gig at Jazz Fest all these years.
I don't know if it helped. I just got it on talent,
Well, of course.
Most of my success is just based on talent alone, because I didn't have any hit records. And, the biggest mistake I made was far as recording, I turned down Danny White's "Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye" because the guy that wrote the song, Al Reed, he wrote my very first recording, and it was a flop, But anyway, at the time, he said, "Oh, Deke, I got a good one for you." And he got on the piano, and he started playing "Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye." And I said, "Oh, no, we can't have the Deacon promoting adultery. I can't do no song like that. It would ruin my career." I got a nice, clean image, the Deacon,
Right.
I can't sing a song like... promoting adultery, like "Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye," but Danny White did it. Boom!
Huge hit.
Huge hit. I said, "Oh, it should have been me."
Oh man, missed opportunity right there.
Yeah, there's nothing sadder than a missed opportunity.
Man.
And he offered it to me first, and I turned it down. I said, "Wow. If I wasn't so young and foolish, I could have had a big hit and traveled all over the road." And anyway, here I am, back where we started.
Back where we started, your never-ending tour of New Orleans.
Yes.
Never-ending tour of New Orleans. Speaking of which, every year on the night before Thanksgiving, Tipitina's has a big tribute concert to some legend of New Orleans music. And you, as a living legend of New Orleans music, you are often a performer at that show. They've done tributes to Huey Piano Smith was one of them.
Yeah.
And I think you've done, Earl King. You did the Earl King tribute.
Alan Toussaint.
Mm-hmm. The 2025 Thanksgiving Eve tribute is a tribute to Art Neville, who I think a lot of folks know from his work with the Meters and the Neville Brothers, obviously.
He played in my band, too.
Art Neville did.
Art Neville did, and so did Aaron Neville and Cyril Neville, too.
They all passed.
Charles Neville. They always played in my band at one time or other, briefly or whatever, But Art Neville, was one of my heroes growing up, because my older sisters used to take me as a chaperone to their high school dances where the Hawkettes were playing.
Hawkettes was Art's band that he did Mardi Gras Mambo with. Right.
So I would be sitting up there looking at the guitar player all night. And one of the bands was the Flamingos with Alan Toussaint and Snooks Eaglin.
That's right. Snooks, the great blind guitar player, played in the Flamingos.
I sang for his funeral, too.
For Snooks Eaglin's funeral?
Yeah.
You've buried everybody, basically.
Yeah.
Buried everybody. Well, sorry. So Art was one of your heroes growing up. He was in a band with you for a while. Mm-hmm. He's the subject of the 2025 Thanksgiving.
Well, Art came in to play with me after the Meters had a temporary breakup. Then Art came to my band, and played with me for a while.
Because he needed a gig, I guess, at that point.
Yeah, well, the Meters got back together, so Art didn't stay very long. He stayed until they got a new record contract with a big advance, then he went back with the Meters.
That's how it works. Well, the 2025 Tips tribute, it's not only a tribute to Art Neville, but also Eddie Bo.
Oh my God, Eddie Bo. Man, I can't believe I had the chance, the opportunity, and the privilege to actually play in Eddie Bo's band when I was coming up, right out of high school, I had some gigs with Eddie Bo.
When of course, Eddie, great piano player, great composer.
Great composer. And then Eddie, he also was a master carpenter and builder too.
Master carpenter, really?
Yeah, Eddie Bo used to build houses and buy and sell them and make money that way. And he had an encyclopedic knowledge of the music business too, about publishing. He's the one who wrote the original Slipping and Sliding. He sold it to Little Richard.
And it became
a big national hit. But he recorded originally under the title of I'm Wise.
So the song Eddie Bo wrote called I'm Wise, Little Richard turned it into Slipping and Sliding.
Yeah, because the first line was slipping and a sliding, peeping and a hiding. I've been told long time ago, you've been running around with that man cross town. Baby, that'll hurt me so. You're slipping and a sliding, peeping and a hiding. Won't be like that no more. Oh, you big conniving, two-time and jive. Well, Ben got hip to your jive, but Little Richard, rocked up the beat and changed some of the words and became a big, huge national hit. But, Eddie Bo, the composer and the publisher, makes money too.
That's right.
But Eddie Bo wrote a whole lot of songs in his lifetime, but not only himself and for other artists too. He wrote Etta James's big hit too.
Which one? Not at last. Which one?
No.
A couple songs for her, but other artists. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, that's where you, like you said, that's where you make money is writing songs for other people and having them recorded. And I think people may not know as much about Eddie Bo as they do some of the other New Orleans musicians.
Yeah.
Just because his own hits weren't as big necessarily.
Eddie Bo wrote "Check Mr. Popeye."
Check Mr. Right. It was a dance, the Popeye too, right?
Yeah, Popeye was a dance, and he also wrote "Check Your Bucket."
Check Your Bucket, right.
Hook and Swing.
All those songs.
A whole bunch of songs. Let Our Love Begin From This Moment. Yeah, there's a ballad,
Well,
and he wrote Pass Out the Hatchets too. You think Roger and Gypsy recorded, but Eddie Bo was the guy behind the scene. Yeah.
Well, when you
let me chop it.
When you play an Eddie Bo song, then I mean, obviously you've got some insights onto it because, like you said, you played with him for a while, so you had a front row seat, understanding what he did. So you feel like that's one of the artists.
The Etta James song was "My Dearest Darling."
My Dearest Darling. There you go. So when you do those Eddie Bo songs, I mean, that's something you can identify with because you were right there early on with Eddie and saw those songs, the creation and everything like that, right?
Yeah, I was in the studio with him and I played in his band too, not for a long time. I did some selected casual engagements.
Casual engagements that we talked about.
Yeah, because Eddie Bo was really hot and he had a whole bunch of clubs and casual engagements that he could play for. And when it needed a guitar player, if somebody else wasn't available, let's get Deacon John.
Let's get Deacon John. Well, we've only got a couple minutes left here. So in a nutshell, what do you think has enabled you more than anything to have a career that has lasted 60 plus years at this point? What's been the one thing that has kept you working and kept you busy all these years?
Well, I was like the chameleon. I could change, because consistency is the virtue of small minds. So I kept adapting to all the new waves in music through the years, and I was able to do it successfully. When disco came out, I got my platform shoes, and rock came out, I was Jimi Hendrix, and I slide in the Family Stone. I went to the big festivals and actually got to meet these people, and Marvin Gaye. I just played with a whole bunch of the big stars, you know, and found out what's the secret. But that's what has kept me going. I was able to play multiple markets simultaneously.
Multiple markets simultaneously.
Right. So I could play a prom one night and play the dewdrop the next night. And I could play a nightclub, I could play a debutante ball, I could play all sorts of miscellaneous casual engagements, you know, and that's what kept me going, you know.
And you could play for white audiences, you could play for black audiences.
Oh, yeah. I could cross over into white audiences, black audiences, you know, and I knew a lot of Latin music. I can sing in Spanish. And also, I knew a lot of Jewish music, too.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah, so through the years, I've been able to sustain myself, you know, from playing multiple markets simultaneously, because one night I'm in a nightclub, the next night I'm playing, you know, for a debutante party.
And it's also helped that you've outlived the competition.
Oh, yeah. Well, they told me a long time ago, if you can't beat them, you got to outlive them. Then we can have all the gigs. And the best part is, first law of business, the scarcer the goods, the higher the price. A Rolls Royce costs more than a Cadillac.
The scarcer the goods, the higher the price.
Yeah.
Well, you are a unique talent. You've had a great career in New Orleans. And I hope you're able to sing at other people's weddings and funerals for many more years to come.
I just never had a really quote unquote hit national recording that would take me out to foreign countries and all these festivals all over the world and in the United States, you know. But I know there's more roads to conquer, you know.
Yes.
And this was one of the best things I ever did, was Deacon Jones' Jump Blues. The right guy came along at the right time. And he produced this, and he realized, you know, that we have to do this now because many of the participants in this Jump Blues won't be around. So we got to capture this moment in time, and he did it, and he spent his own money too. And he was a musician and a lawyer himself, Cyril Vetter.
Cyril Vetter, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and he produced this thing with a touch of class, and everybody got, you know, the right amount of money and properly compensated. And we had, you know, like, just a whole range of stars on there. Henry Butler, Dr. John, Alan Toussaint, the Zion Harmonizer, T.D. Boutte, and
it's, you know, it's a great record.
It's incredible, you know.
It's a great record. It's a great.
That he captured that moment, you know, because he realized, you know, that many of these people won't be around, you know.
That's
and
right.
we have to do something, you know, to make this music available for future generations, because New Orleans played an important part in the Jump Blues era. The Jump Blues was the transitional music between the demise of the big band swing era and early rock and roll and rhythm and blues, like Big Joe Turner, Chuck Berry, Little Richard, you know.
Well, and you've had, you know, a huge role in New Orleans music in that transition. That's a great record. I hope you're able to keep on doing this for many more years to come. And I want to thank you for coming on Let's Talk and talking about your career.
Well, thank you for having me on your show. You know, don't forget I played for your wedding.
I never do, and you never let me forget. All right, that was Deacon John Moore. I'm Keith Spera. I'll see you next time on Let's Talk.
Au revoir and bonsoir.